'Tis I, Sebastian Piccione, and this is F3G2. Here in the back of beautiful, famous Faces and Funnies, Get Your Fun On, right, brother? And then we are broadcasting to you through GonnaGeek. So we got 3 Fs, we got 2 Gs. It works out nice. I got a stack of books. Oh, I forgot the actual book. Oh, well, next time. Speaking of next time, I'll just give you guys a heads up now. There will be no show next week because of the Con de Mega. Alright? Because of Con. I have to go set up on the Thursday and the Friday and the Saturday and the Sunday. We have to sell none of my books. But if you're in town, in Orlando, for MegaCon, feel free to swing by Artist Alley, table Burgundy 10A. And you can also not buy any of my stuff. And I'll sign everything you don't buy. So that'll be cool.
Celebrity, are you going to get drunk and woo this year?
I don't know. Little Boba Fett's not going, so he ain't going to drink me into a coma. And Ron Perlman just canceled. So I was kind of I was kind of hoping to end up drinking with Hellboy. All right, Batman 29. So good, even though why every other issue of Batman has to be $4.99 or $5.99 for the past year, I don't know. But what are you gonna do?
Complaining. Continue to read.
The Batman Year Zero. I gotta tell you, Riddler's smarter than Year Zero Batman. He was not quite the world's greatest detective yet. He wasn't even the greatest detective in Gotham. He's not even the greatest detective named Batman. Anyone else showed up, they could out-detective him on some of this. It's sad.
So, Christian Bale?
But he's still better than Christian Bale. He's not... I mean, he has clues. He just interprets them wrong. Christian Bale couldn't find a damn clue. Alfred, quick, tell me what I need to do. Lucius, I can't say the letter S. Find a clue for that. Commissioner, you solved everything? Really? You faked your death and I fell for it? Damn. Alright, so those movies suck. That's right. I said it. Anyway, this is awesome. You've got like an homage to everything. The phrase "I'm the goddamn Batman" is thrown out in main DC continuity versus All-Star verse. Batman doesn't say it because Batman wouldn't say that. But Commissioner Loeb yells it out, and that makes it kind of sense. Also, there's a great panel, a very Dark Knight panel, that is both Dark Knight and not, because in the actual Dark Knight, of course, Batman is the consummate professional. He'd been come out of retirement, and he was still, just to paraphrase Wolverine, to steal Wolverine's line, he was the best there is at what he does. But you've got that classic Batman with jumping with the lightning behind him from Dark Knight. Well, here's the same jump, but as you can see, same kind of silhouette thing, but as you can see, Batman is not quite, he doesn't have the form and mastery of the leap that he will in his dark and grizzled future. So that was pretty cool.
Foreshadowing.
Really, really good. I can't wait for them to use the Riddler in current continuity, because this Riddler is already so damn cool and such a perfect foil to Batman. I mean, alright, Joker is all kind of madness and chaos to Batman's, I'm a very linear thinker. I am a concrete, sequential. Versus, this is Riddler who goes, okay, Batman, so this is what you do? You're a thinker? So am I. Let's go. And they can play that Gotham level chess, and that's awesome. Superior Spider-Man. Alright, best part of this, Miguel O'Hara, or Miguel O'Mara, as is clever. Why do you need a sacred identity if you're in a future years before you're even born? Why do you need a secret? Why do you need to change? No. Oh, Miguel O'Hara, wait. Aren't you from the future? They don't know. Why do you need a secret? I don't get it. Why you need a false identity. Goblin still doesn't know who Peter is. Knows it's Ock, doesn't know who Ock is in. Knows he's in Spider-Man, doesn't know Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Ock has fallen apart. There's some powerful moments, including with a guy that, not only did Ock hate, but Slott did a great job of making us hate this guy too, and he redeems himself in a tragic. And it's just there were feels. There were Doc Ock Spider-Man and Doc Ock's annoying academic rival guy feels, and I didn't think that could happen. I will say that while I'm glad Peter's coming back, and I loved this, and I was waiting, but it was still, I have no problem with it ending. I wish they hadn't revealed to us as soon as they did that Peter was coming back, simply because, well, I don't know exactly how this will end and what Superior Spider-Man's fate, what Doc Ock's fate will be post this. There's something missing that's been in all the rest of the Superior Spider stories, which is I have more of a sense of the end game than I felt I've had, and it kind of takes away the kick. Superior Foes of Spider-Man, number 9. This is the greatest series Marvel is printing. This is the greatest book out. This is the greatest issue. Oh my God, there is just so much. It is so good and so funny, and you've got a scene of everything from Boomerang playing a lone game, actually looking cool, and every time he looks cool, he's made to look like a total ass. And sometimes it turns out he planned that because it's part of his cool. Sometimes it's just because he's really a total ass. And there's this whole bit with like him and Boomerang after a fashion. Bullseye after a fashion, and it's just funny that Boomerang of all people would pick Bullseye as a rival, but as someone to antagonize. There's a disturbing scene with the Chameleon that ends. It's so disturbing that the Chameleon's henchman walks away and saying that I'll do that right away, sir. Right after I pour bleach in my eye holes, and it shows the thought bubble of him picturing himself with a bottle of bleach, just pouring it in his eyes, and it's so funny. And in the end, he pulls off this like ultimate scam. Hydra Man shows up, and Hydra Man and Shocker have like this wonderful conversation. It's just so good. You need to read this. Nightwing 29 wraps up the current story with this little girl whose parents got killed, and she'd found out Nightwing's identity, and he goes and takes on Zaz for her. And it really, while the art wasn't always pitch perfect, it was good. The story hits all the right notes, but unfortunately it makes me nervous because they do too good a job of what I would call a wrap up and a wind down. Like they're putting Nightwing in a box, literally and figuratively, possibly because of whatever's going on. So they've nicely compartmentalized it that now Forever Evil could end Nightwing's story, could change Nightwing, but whatever's happening, all the pieces that there's not a lot, there's no real Nightwing loose ends left. Is what I'm saying to you. He's on his way. He's going to head back to Gotham for the next. So I don't know how many issues are left of this, but my concern is there. Mighty Avengers number 8. Blue Marvel is awesome. Blue Marvel's family has some issues. New Power Man, he gets so emotional, baby, every time White Tiger's in trouble. And White Tiger she argues with a god and wins. She talks a god down. She talks down the Avatar. She is the Avatar, but she talks down the actual god, the White Tiger. All right, which for some reason I get what they're doing. We're trying to give it that mystical ghost look. But if you are the White Tiger, and I don't mean the character, I mean the actual god, the White Tiger, the entity that is the White Tiger. If the colorists give you that ghost look by coloring you like you're not the White Tiger now, that is a green tiger. All right, I know I'm colorblind, but that's a green tiger. So that kind of made me nuts through the whole thing. That the actual White Tiger entity is green.
So, Beast Boy guest starred in an episode, in an issue?
Yeah, it might as well be. She's arguing with Beast Boy, but yeah, the tiger backs down at the end of her argument. It's just like, damn you, and then it does what she wants. So she's just mastered a god, and that's kind of cool. My favorite Avengers book right now, Mighty Avengers. Justice League of America number 13. is it's long. This storyline seems to be doing. I've liked it, and I still like, but for the most part, it's spinning its wheels at this point. It's doing a lot of nothing. It is really adding very little to the Forever Evil story, and just kind of, holding its, it's in a holding pattern of just like, hey, I'm ending and going to become Justice League Canada. Nope, Justice League Unlimited. We're not going to call it Justice League Canada anymore. Okay, fine. But we can't really do anything new because we're coming to an end, and all characters are tied up inside Firestorm until Forever Evil number 7. So we're just going to kind of walk around and do. Despero is here, fucking with them because I don't know why. I don't know when Despero happened to be on Earth that they teamed up with. Despero doesn't seem like an evil Justice League. So the crime syndicate. That's some corny shit. Sure, I'll work with them. Despero seems more like a fuck you. I'm gonna read your minds, make you all think that you're happy, and I'm just gonna read off your sorrow. He doesn't seem like a shares power kind of guy. Like I'll go do this for you kind of guy. So I don't know. It's just kind of spinning his wheels. Avengers Undercover. Which hero becomes a villain? That one. But I mean, maybe there's a longer game plan. It'll switch up. But right now, it's that guy. He's kind of nuts. Hazmat's pretty cool. Deathlocket is quite possibly one of my favorite characters. And yeah, this is the series that picks up after Avengers Arena. All right, the kids are back, and they're like, we're never going to talk about what happened. No one ever needs to know. And then Arcade puts it up on YouTube. It says, here, look, I made these kids kill each other. And, because I finally realized that what was missing from the place I keep calling Murder World was murder. So, he got that right this time. But this is really good. You get to see some of the other Runaways. Because now that they're back in the world, they can kind of interact with the MU. And basically what's happened is, what the hell's Bloodstone's name?
Ilsa?
No, not the girl. It's her little brother. I forget what he calls himself these days. I don't know that he ever existed before this, but he just goes by Bloodstone. I guess that makes sense. So he's got the power to turn into monsters. The rest of them fight. He's got this power to turn into monsters, but he's got this ring that keeps him from doing it. But he's just hunting down, while the rest of them are dealing in their own way. He's hunting down Arcade and anyone associated with Arcade. And he's basically just going to kill them all. And they're going in maybe to stop him, maybe to try and get him back. It's going to involve the Brotherhood of Evil.
Maybe to just watch the show.
Which, as team names go, if you're going to be a team of supervillains, calling yourself the Brotherhood of Evil, it's a little on the nose, I think. It may be a little... They're not going for subtle. There's no interpretation here. But that book is good, so read that. Anyway, all new X Factor number 4. A lot of Gambit and Gambit people that look just like Gambit, because they're on Gambit's Thief Guild moving island, and apparently headbands, trench coats, long hair. That's like the dress code for the Thieves Guild. So, who knew? But I don't usually like Gambit, but I've been liking him in this, and the reason for that is clearly it's Peter David. Also, the return of one of my favorite features. Right, it gives you the catching up, and then it says, meanwhile, Peter has a new novel coming out July 1st that you can find out more information about on his website, peterdavid.net. We don't want to say too much, but it involves a Charles Dickens character facing off against the undead. So, already it's there, but I missed the little, meanwhile, it gives you the blurb of what's happened in the comic and then what's happening in Peter's life. I liked that in the other X Factor. I like it again now. I'm a happy boy. Polaris has got some issues, but she always has, and that girl's got some serious issues. Quicksilver, they've written a comic in which Quicksilver is the least dicky character in the book. That's how good Peter David is. the lowest level, the only actual hero in the issue is Quicksilver. Everyone else is kind of an ass. Danger, the living embodiment of the Danger Room, has no memory and is basically trying to kill everybody. And Gambit takes an approach that only Gambit can take to get her memory back, and now she will be joining the team. But even more importantly, next issue is called Hello Warlock, and it's got Cypher and Warlock, and looks like they're gonna have to start out fighting Warlock, but I believe he's supposed to join the team. So yeah, it's got the Magus in the background. So let's see. X-Files Conspiracy The Crow was meh. It had some potential, but I don't know. I don't know who Denton J. Tipton is, but he's not a Crow writer. I'll tell you that. So it was. I mean, it was okay, but it was meh. That's really the best I can do. $6 Million Man Season 6. All right, they already did the Bionic Man, Bionic Woman, Bionic whatever series. They were meh. They're going the Season 6 route. This picks up right where the original series, the original TV series, $6 Million Man, left off. It's drawn to look like that. They've taken no liberties. This is just what happens next. The continuing saga of the $6 Million Man. And the best part, wow, I'm going to have to say that on it. Jim Kahoric is the writer, and the best part is he has included, I don't know what the hell that just was. He has included the sound effects, so when he uses his powers, it says, no, it's a, it's in there. It's a couple of different ways. You know, but it's there. When he uses the bionics, you've got this. It's got the opening sequence. I don't know if that'll be in every issue or just for part one, but you've got the whole "we can rebuild him" thing going on there, and him running with, it's all there, and it makes me happy, so happy. Really well. If you've never seen the show, you don't need to. This will give you everything you need. If you've seen the show, then this is even better. Read that. Dynamite done good there. Captain Marvel #1. Really, really good. I tried reading the other series before this, and I liked what was going on, but the art didn't always work for me, and when I would jump back in, it was one of those where if I missed, I didn't read the last few because I didn't like the art, I'll jump in, I have no idea what the hell's happening. But this is a perfect jumping on point. And they're taking her into space, and this is the setup for that, and it's so good. Kelly Sue DeConnick just wrote the hell out of this, and she's been on this character long enough that God knows she's in Carol Danvers' head, but it's pitch perfect. The art is gorgeous. Who's the art on this? Do you tell me undercover? You do. David Lopez is the art. He's got a very there's a very Jesus Saez feel to it, and we all know that Jesus Saez is one of my very around the eyes and mouths, very Jesus Saez, and it's very, very clean, really good, and manages to be Carol Danvers, now Captain Marvel, manages to be very human and relatable, while very, tough as nails, half alien, uber powerful. So it's the perfect blend of you can relate to this character, you can like this character, and yet you can still be in awe of the holy shit of this character. And at the moment, she's about to go in space, but she lives. I don't know when this happened, but apparently she lives in the Statue of Liberty. So that's kind of awesome. Although now it is one of those. Did make me think though, since when heroes have their homes and they eventually get found, especially if you're a hero with a public identity, when the villains come after you, they can tend to destroy your home. If your home is a national landmark, that's kind of that's kind of touch and go for real. Justice League 3000 #4 explains that they are in fact not clones. I'm gonna confess something. It's winning me over. What they've done is instead of they found out in the future that cloning was too much of a pain in the ass. So I'm just going to spoil this for you. You weren't reading it anyway, so I'm going to spoil this for you. What they've done is they've taken samples of the DNA, and instead of cloning, it was quicker to using the DNA samples along with nanotechnology, insert them into people that are already here, and it rewrites you. It basically kills and erases all of what you were and turns you into them. So we do get our new Flash and Firestorm naturally. Whatever works with this technology, it something I like to call the Keith Giffen is a surly curmudgeon factor. I don't know if that's a scientific term, but I think that is what the factor that makes. Apparently, they all just come out as dicks. Because Firestorm is just like, I'm a dick too. The only two who came out nice and suffered for it are Flash and Green Lantern. But they find out this origin of that they were people who've been killed, and that the person they're hunting was the one who invented the procedure and then decided it was wrong, and that's why they're trying to stop her. And then all sorts of shit hits the fan, and whatever. So. It's Giffen and DeMatteis, so I like them anyway. So now that I have I will accept this as this is a perfectly legit to me answer as to what the hell's going on. I'm able to shake off any why are they doing this and roll with it, baby. Mm-hmm. All right, Batgirl number 29. Allied with Strix. They just say, guest starring Strix, or teams up with Strix, whatever. But regardless, she's allied with Strix. This was a really cool done-in-one issue. There's this vampire hunter named Silver. He's, it's sort of done-in-one. It picks up from the last issue, but it's not a big arc. This is it. He's hunting vampires, but he may or may not be half nuts. And then he and his they're like a reverse Green Hornet and Kato, because he's like an Asian guy who dresses like he's read too much of Images of the Darkness, and he's got this blonde chick, tough as nails, chauffeur / ass kicker, and they've taken this girl who they believe is a vampire, and Strix and Batgirl are on the trail to get her back. And through some twists and turns, it looks like the guy's nuts, and he thought his mom was killed by a vampire, but they think it wasn't, and she killed herself in a tub, and that's why she had no blood. And then it turns out there's actually freaking vampires. But meanwhile, the guy keeps seeing Strix and Batgirl as vampires because he's just kind of nuts. And it does, in fact, guest star, the hell's his actual name? Andrew Bennett, I, Vampire. Despite it being awkward phrasing, Gail Simone does manage to work in, quite naturally, the phrase, I, Vampire. Because she does that good. I was like, wow, because that's not an easy phrase to, I, Vampire, But she does it. She works it in and gets him to say it. And yeah, these two have an interesting technique of killing vampires. So that's kind of cool. It's good. It's Gail Simone as Batgirl. Gail Simone plus Batgirl equals read it. Wow, I gotta tell you this. Magnus Robot Fighter #1 from Dynamite. All right, I've already liked the first issue, two issues of Turok. Magnus #1 was so damn good. This is Fred Van Lente and Corey Smith. So damn good. If you are already a fan of Magnus, you're going to be thrown at first, because for the first 8 pages, everything seems like, what? How is this Magnus? This is a lot of liberties taken. But the coloring should be a hint and a half that all is not as it seems. And by page 9, we are burst into the actual world and get to see the dystopian future that that Magnus comes from, and it is so good. I'm hooked. I'm hooked already. It reads like a really, really good TV show. I would be like, dude, I want to, I want to marathon watch episodes of Magnus. Hawkeye goes out for Halloween dressed as the bad guys from Saga. What's his name? Prince. What's the Prince
Robot 4.
Prince Robot 4. Yeah. You're like, no. No, this is an odd little issue. With it's Matt Fraction and Chris Iliopoulos, writer extraordinaire and artist of a lot of the young style characters. He did those Franklin Richards things, and he used to do the Little Marvels, and now he does everything else too. They have teamed up and made the greatest, most bizarre. Sean, my former guest host back when this was another show, Sean didn't like this. He loved Superior Foes of Spider-Man. When I got him to look at that, he left with all the issues to catch up on that. But this, he was like, oh, he didn't like it. But the premise here is some of the neighbors, the kids are over, and Clint falls asleep watching a Christmas special with them, and dreams it in his own way, where he dreams basically it's kind of the adventures of a dog named Steve that is a hybrid of Green Arrow, of Hawkeye and Pizza Dog, and the dog is part of this cartoon, and he wants to go do things on his own, and swears he can handle it on his own. But the other hero dogs and animals keep telling him, you can't do it, and he realizes he's bitten off more than he can chew. But he says, I'd rather die than leave everybody by themselves. And they say, and we won't either. And he gets the magical lesson is taught to Hawkeye that sometimes you need backup. You can't do it all on your own. And it was really clever and really well done and just a lot of fun. I can do it all by myself. You got this dog, yeah. So very, very good. Not aerodynamic, but very, very good. The final issue of the Fox. I hope they give us more. This was so good. It teams the Fox up in the past with the Shield, but it's told through flashback from the Shield now, because the Fox went back in time, met the Shield, and then you get a nice tie-in at the end of these characters together. The Fox still his actual age because he's from this timeline, and the Shield aged because he stayed. He was from the past, so he aged naturally and blah blah blah. But it was really really good and a lot of fun. And it's really they talk a lot about human nature in here. And when you end up having the Fox from now and the Shield having no choice but to fight a greater threat in the middle of World War II, the Shield has to team up with a superpowered Nazi named Master Race, and I forget the name of Hachiman is the superpowered Japanese character. So in the middle of World War II, an American and a superpowered American, superpowered Japanese, and a superpowered German have to kind of team up along with the weird magnet that is the Fox. And it's just really, really good, really well done. I've really enjoyed this series, so I hope they give us more with the same team. Superman, Wonder Woman. It's Charles Soule writing Superman, Wonder Woman. It's good, and they get themselves in some trouble, and then come up with some rather, they're going to team up to use in order to escape from this. To thwart the plans of Zod and Fiora. When it comes down to Superman's like, wait, you said your sword could split atoms, it was sharp enough to split atoms, right? She's like, that's what I was told by Hephaestus when he made it. She goes, but I can't see atoms. He goes, I can. So Superman's going to use his supervision in conjunction with Wonder Woman's sword, and they are going to physically split an atom, and make it go boom. So that's pretty damn cool. That's like somewhere right now, in between talking to his weird deity. Somewhere right now, Alan Moore is scratching at that out of control beard of his and going, "He's splitting an atom with I could get behind that." That's like, oh, I could have written that. So that's the level that's on. Batman Little Gotham was really, really good, but really, really sad because it's over. And now I am completely Damian-less. No, unless they bring him back, please, because I like the Damian. This was so good. This book was so good. This series was so good. On the web, in the comics, and the trades, it's all just so good. Rated. Indestructible #4 is funny, but our boy finally steps up to be heroic. Because he was a hero on accident the first time, and he doesn't actually have any powers. So he steps up. His roommate is still a disgusting ass. And their team of heroes has accepted him, so it looks like he's joined that. But he is in trouble again by the end. This book is good. It's this is the one. The idea behind this was there's a world that actually has it's our world, but there's actually people with powers. Guy gets shot in a robbery, but the bullet hits his phone. He survives. Nobody realizes it's his phone. They assume he's a superpower and that he's bulletproof. So now everybody, villains are after him, heroes are looking to recruit him. There's all this stuff going on, but he's really just a guy with no powers. And he's just he's tried explaining this, but nobody listens. So now he's just kind of going with it and just kind of faking his way through superheroics. And on the one hand, that almost makes him more superheroic than the people with actual powers. He tried taking on a superhero name, and his agent gets kind of mad at him for it. Because the name that he took, there was a mess up, kind of like when Booster Gold got the name Booster Gold by showing up and saying, and Ronald Reagan, he saves Ronald Reagan's life, and Ronald Reagan's like, "What's your name?" And he wanted to say Gold Star, but he went and said the nickname that he goes by anyway, which is Booster, and he goes Gold Star, and Ronald Reagan goes Booster Gold, and that's how Booster Gold got the name. So in this, he takes on the name Stoner, and he goes, and the agent's like, Stoner carries such negative connotation. He's like, the guy's like, Stoner? He's like, my name was supposed to be Stone, as in Man of Stone, but the E and the R on my laptop stick together. So when he entered it to the press release, he was trying to write Stone, and it came out Stoner, and now that's his name, and it happens, Bloodshot and Hardcore continuing the Mission Improbable, with Bloodshot and Hardcore have been sent to hunt down the major threat that is Archer, and along the way they have to deal with Armstrong. They made the mistake of trying to take Armstrong down. In the first issue of this, which was in Archer and Armstrong, Bloodshot has subdued Archer. But the rest of the team has tried to take Archer down by giving him beer filled with drugs. And his exact words, he says, "You tried to stop me with beer and drug." He goes, "This is like," he's like, "You set a trap for me with booze. That's like putting Popeye in a cage of spinach." And he just starts beating the crap out of people. But they're able to outrun him, so he's got to go, and he knows where they're headed. So he's going to go try and bust out his boy who can take care of himself in his sleep, literally. Apparently, if you are Archer, sleepwalking can be a quite dangerous thing for you, and more dangerous for everyone around you. Superboy, number 29, continuing his evil week in the superheroes thing.
Just move on.
It's just
move on.
Well, no, I'm going to talk about this because it hurts, and I don't know why I do this to myself.
Again,
some books work with a villain, as you can follow a book about a villain, but they have to at least make the villain relatable. The only thing I could relate to in this is it does look like he's about to try and betray and kind of overthrow. What do you call it? The hell's that stupid angel of death looking character? Harvest. Oh, I fucking hate that guy. And not like in the way you're supposed to hate a villain, just like he's such a lame character. And I can get behind him destroying Harvest. All right. Ultimately, in a perfect world, I like to think that where they're going with this is, this guy's just responsible for mass murder. At this point, it's even with okay, Doc Ock's got some murders under his belt, but you're not going to be able to pull this. This Superboy is not the kind of guy who you can have him go, oh, and you can just go, okay, yeah, we'll just forget how you killed like an entire timeline. We'll forget that and accept you as a hero and make you a Titan. You're better now. No, all right, this is beyond that. In your timeline, you killed everybody, and so fine. You may be killing people in timelines and futures that may not happen, but no, there's nothing redeemable about this character. I'd like to think that it'll turn out somehow that Con-El will show back up down a certain line and get to fight him and take his book back. But in the meantime, we can use this Superboy to kill Harvest and get rid of all that. But it's just not good, is what I'm going to go with. X-Men Legacy number 300. It ends because it was going to continue, and the new X-Men Legacy was going to feature Nightcrawler, the new recently returned Nightcrawler, but they've decided to just call that book Nightcrawler, which does two things. It gives Nightcrawler top billing, which is more likely to make Nightcrawler fans go buy it, and it leaves the X-Men Legacy title open in case they decide, hey, we have another use for it down the line. So, really quite clever. But this one is written by Simon Spurrier, Mike Carey, and Christos Gage. Christos Gage gives us the goodbye to the storyline that he'd written in there that had a lot with Mimic and Weapon Omega. The best part of this, though, I really thought it was going to be... I bought it. I read it for the Christos Gage. All right? But the part that surprised me and became my favorite part here was there's this story of a character called Forget-Me-Not, whose power is, in a almost Doctor Who villain-esque way, when you look away from him, you forget he was there. He's been on the... Apparently, this is the first we're hearing of him, but apparently he's been on the X-Men for 6 years. And none of the team... He's been really depressed since Professor X died, because Professor X used telepathy on himself. Right? So Professor X used telepathy on Professor X's own mind to set up an hourly reminder that this guy is there so he could check on him and basically acknowledge this guy's existence. Since Professor X died, nobody even knows he's there anymore. And he's like, there are a lot of victories where things have happened and the X-Men just chuck it over. Oh, it must be a glitch. The enemy's door opened. Or, this bad guy's suddenly down, or the robot stopped working. It's him. He's there. And they just don't see him. And most of the time when he shows up, they're like, where the hell did you come from? And that's pretty much this guy, and he's looking to sort of end it or get rid of that power, and that's his story. And his story of him talking to a girl who's been scarred and disfigured and is trying to break into the school so that she can, she's like, look, if I hang out with the mutants and go here, then maybe everyone will get past, what happened to, my face, and I can just be another student. But he's like, he helps talk her out of it, even though he's got to keep her focused, because if she stops seeing him, it was really, really good. Just really good. You should read this. If you've never read an issue of this, just read this one, and you'll be good. The Royals, Masters of War, number 2 of 6. I forgot I was going to grab one of my books off the shelf. I was going to grab Allied Forces, because this takes place in World War II, and the idea being that Royals have powers, but have stayed out of the war because they don't want to get involved. And I have a comic I wrote called Allied Forces it doesn't have Royals or whatever, but it's World War II superheroes. And I was like, yikes, because some of it made me think of my stuff before. But then this introduces the American team. Naturally, the American team is, garishly dressed, and they're called the Allies. And I was like, wait, what? I'm like, that's, but nonetheless, that's as close as it comes to mine. So I'm half flattered that others are thinking, I'm like, hey, more than like, I'm like, wow, I'm thinking on the same levels as real people, so yay me. But also that, whew, it doesn't cross any wires that makes me, they beat me to it. Actually, I would have beat them, but somebody reads mine, so they still win. But anyway,
Pretty much.
This is really good. Check that out. You can check out Allied Forces at Table 10A at MegaCon next weekend. So
Yeah,
plug
so
for me.
Shameless plug.
There was some shame. I'm ashamed. So it was a shameful plug. I'm so weak. Red Team number 7 wraps this up so well. This is that book about a special ops team of cops who decide that they're tired of everybody having the revolving door policy, so they're going to go lethal. And along the way, they come across another group of cops doing a similar thing, but not for justice reasons, more for money. They're just completely crooked. So there's that, we're both crooked technically, but you're more crooked than us. And this is the kind of finale to those two teams coming across each other that really only Garth Ennis can write. And this is, Craig Shemak did the art, so good, wraps it up so nicely, and leaves us an ending where if Garth Ennis never does any more of this, it's a perfect ending. If he wants to do any more of this, there's a perfect opening. So it's like a window and a door, baby, a window and a door. Secret Avengers #1 has MODOK on the team, so that's pretty cool. And between MODOK and Coulson, it was really cool. There's a whole lot of it was kind of odd, but I'll give you this because for some people this may be the selling point for a comic. Spider-Woman, Black Widow, and Hawkeye spend their entire part of they're in just towels, and not always in the towels. They alternate between being naked and in towels for their entire while fighting, agents of AIM, just naked, and that's what you do. And eventually they go into space. So there's that, and apparently the big secret on Secret Avengers is MODOK, because he now works for them as like a development kind of guy, because he sold his part of AIM to the Secret Avengers, and said, look, I'll come work for you in exchange for immunity. And it's a big secret because SHIELD doesn't negotiate with terrorists, so you can't let the world know that, hey, we bought out this terrorist. But MODOK's just like happy to invent shit for destruction. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if you're using it for good or evil. I make things that break shit, and you use it. So that's right there. Fantastic Four #2 was good. It starts the Johnny losing his powers as they're going to tear down the Fantastic Four and rebuild them. It's good. I'm not, there's a scene that's oddly disturbing of Reed and Sue naked in bed when they hear Franklin screaming, and it I mean, but just for some reason the concept of a woman who can turn invisible, make force fields, and a man who can stretch his entire body, and Reed's got like his neck going out, and I'm like, it's just somehow uncomfortable. But I mean, I'm gonna keep going with this a bit to see how. But so far, I've been kind of on the plus side of meh to the new Fantastic Four. I really like the new costumes. I wish there was an explanation. But I mean, I like the look. There's a little Herbie moment in there for you. Okay. And all new X-Men #24, Trial of Jean
Garnell?
Trial of Jean Grey.
Trial.
So damn good. Bendis is not usually my favorite writer. I like him on Ultimate Spider-Man since the Miles Morales thing, and that was really about it. I mean, I liked Powers way back in the day, but his Avengers, nothing happened most of the time. There were just whole issues of people discussing things and looking for new bases and discussing should they or should they not be heroes, and very little happening. His X-Men has been the exact opposite. His X-Men and his Guardians of the Galaxy, instead of having to wait every 5 issues for something to happen, 5 things happen. 5 major things happen every issue. He's just bam, bam, bam. It's like he's just completely. He's become like it. I think the Bendis from Earth 3 has come over and replaced our Bendis, and I'm okay with that because Bendis from Earth 3 is just amazing. And the art on this, who's the art on this? This is one of the Imminent. All right, so it's so good. It's so fun. And it never goes where you expect. It never does. These original X-Men in the modern day never goes where you expect. All right, I'm done. Loki, say goodbye to these people. Cat bus. Oh, Nothing? Alright. I guess it just means saying goodbye. Goodbye, people.